Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Mom's Funeral. My 26 female mom died a couple of days ago. My boyfriend 31 male is refusing to go to the funeral or let my daughter go with me because it's religious. Like the title says, I just lost my mom a couple of days ago from ovarian cancer. I'm devastated right now and my boyfriend isn't helping me at all. We've been together for a year and a half. Some background. My mom and I weren't on good terms before her death because of my boyfriend. John and my mom never got along because he's a deep-set atheist and my mom is very religious. Major issues popped up once I got pregnant and had my daughter. My mom pressed for me to have my baby baptized into the church, which I wanted to do, but John was dead set against it. He convinced me that baptizing her and indoctrinating her was a bad choice and that we should leave it to her to choose when she was old enough. I agreed. My mom didn't take this well at all, and after many angry and hurt arguments, she cut off contact with me. Not having my mom with me during my pregnancy or my baby's birth took a big emotional toll on me, but John insisted it was for the best and he didn't want my mom near my daughter at all and that my mom was evil for hurting me. At the time I was angry, so I agreed. I found out my mom was sick with ovarian cancer a month ago when she called me and wanted to talk. I was horrified and all the BS kind of just fell away. I tried to make the best of my time with her, brought my daughter to meet her grandma, and tried to build good memories with her. I'm happy to say we're reconciled and my mom and I made our peace with each other before she died. I don't want to trash my boyfriend, but John has been a pain in the effing ass since I found out my mom was sick. He said she deserved it, but quickly backed down when he saw how angry that made me. He refused to go with me to visit or help care for my mom. He didn't even really want to listen to me talk about how happy I was to reconnect with my mom. All he did was remind me that my mom hurt me and I should have no contact with her and she didn't deserve for me to speak to her. I told him that my mom isn't perfect, but my mom also raised me by herself and that she was my rock for many years and he should respect that. He said nothing outside telling me there was no value in talking to her. Now we're planning the funeral. I asked John to go with me and he refused instantly. He said he hated my mom, that she was a see you next Tuesday to our family and that he wasn't going to church ever and it was rude and insensitive of me to ask. When I said I was taking my daughter, he had the nerve to actually tell me that I was not under any circumstances taking her. I've been through an emotional roller coaster this past week. I lost my mom after we finally made up. My boyfriend has been stupidly unsupportive and now he's refusing to let me take my child to her grandmother's funeral and refusing to come to at least support me. My daughter is the one thing that brings me comfort and I want her with me. Is that so unreasonable? It seems like the more I push, the more he digs his heels in and I just can't take it anymore. I don't know what to do. His attitude towards this entire thing is breaking my heart on top of my mom's death. OP, I am so sorry that extreme ideology is making you go through this emotional roller coaster. Be it extreme religion or extreme atheism, it's the exact same thing if it's an extreme. It's pushing your own personal belief to the discomfort of others, and that is what your boyfriend is doing, and also what your mom did when she decided to cut contact with you. But she got over it. Your boyfriend hasn't, and now he's just harboring hate for your mom. And on top of this, he's not even acting as a partner. He's not trying to comfort you or even help you out in any way. He's just making a very difficult moment, like losing a parent, even worse with his a-hole behavior. And let's be honest, taking a toddler to a funeral is not gonna make her choose religion when the time comes. So I'd say, OP, take your daughter and also think about your future in this relationship. On a side note, it's kind of scary to think how he would react if his daughter, when she's old enough, decides to choose to be baptized. How is he gonna treat her then? Anyways, what do you guys think about this whole thing? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes, or what kind of advice would you give her? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Cosmologicality says, it sounds like he's pissed at you for grieving your dead mother and is trying to punish you and your dead mother by proxy to prove how righteous his ideals are. What a colossal a-hole. I'm a strongly anti-religious atheist, and I have no problem attending the vast majority of formal religious ceremonies. A lot of them I actually find to be beautiful, even though I don't share any of the beliefs. If he was being pouty and refusing to go, that would be one thing, but trying to prevent you from taking your own daughter is kind of disgusting. Your boyfriend is a vindictive person with little to no empathy. You can do better. And OP responds, he tried to claim that he threw me a bone by letting me take my daughter to visit my mom in the first place. It's taken everything in me to not pack my things and leave. Tina Pesto says, your boyfriend is being completely irrational. He has no say whether you go to the funeral or whether you bring your daughter. He's making your loss about him. Hell, he made your relationship with your mother about him. Your pregnancy and birth was full of stress from his BS drama he started with your mother. Go to the funeral, bring your daughter. You deserve to say goodbye to your mother, no matter how tumultuous your relationship had been. I'm sorry for your loss. And OP responds, I don't know if it's because I'm so upset, but I'm starting to see that too. It's always been about him. He's never accepted my wants and instead insisted on a compromise that favored him. I've had enough. Elite Prick says, your boyfriend is definitely an a-hole. There's atheist and then there's a-hole. This guy is the latter. I'm in complete agreement with all other posts on this one. While I can agree with you both on the letting your daughter decide when she's older whether she wants to be baptized or not, the funeral is part of your grieving process and he should get off his high horse and support you during this rough time. He's also extremely disrespectful, telling you that your mother deserved the cancer and all that jazz. This reflects very poorly on him as an adult. I would think long and hard about whether or not this is the man you want to spend the rest of your life with. He doesn't even seem like he's willing to compromise. Sarah8 says, your boyfriend is an a-hole, not a partner. I am so sorry. Go to your mother's funeral and then evaluate if you want to spend the rest of your life with a rigid, hateful man. Is your daughter also his daughter? I am so sorry. And OP responds, she is. She's only several months old and it's not like she'd even understand what was going on. His indoctrination claim makes no sense to me at all. Additional information from OP's comments. My mom actually cut me off when I said that we decided not to baptize my daughter. I tried for weeks and months to reach out to her and even texted and called when the baby arrived and got no response. I really wish I had tried harder, like gone to the house and knocked or even just tried to run into her and talk to her. I was really hurt by what my mom did, and I let John talk me into thinking that my mom really was this mean, vindictive person for cutting me out of her life. I regret all of it with all my heart now. Okay, well, the community agrees that OP's boyfriend is just a huge a-hole and that OP should just go to the funeral. So let's move on with the update to see what OP ended up doing. Thanks to everyone that sent me condolences about my mom. It's been really hard these past several days, but I've been hanging in there okay. I tried being reasonable to John about how he wanted to handle things. I even told him, like one poster here suggested, that he didn't have to go to the service, but could wait in the lobby with my daughter while the service was ongoing. Then she could spend time with my family after the service. But he again shot it down. He would be able to hear the service, and that was a violation of his beliefs, and asking to compromise on those beliefs was unconscionable and unfair to our daughter. I told him I had had it. This is the icing on a very large cake. I told John that as of this week, I wanted our bank accounts separated. He made us joint accounts to make sure we split everything equally to be fair, despite me making more, and that I'd be staying with my brother after the funeral while he figured out what to do. Whether that was a total breakup or counseling, it was up to him. He said counseling was for the weak-minded, that we were staying together despite my empty threats, and there was no way in F he was letting me take his money. He became very loud and in my face during this conversation, so I just let him throw his tantrum until he took my silence as agreement. I took my daughter with me to the viewing with no problems. John and I barely spoke that day, which was fine by me, but it hit the fan the next day. When I got up in the morning to get myself ready and get my daughter ready, I discovered that he had the mother effing gall to park his car directly behind mine, blocking me into the driveway. I had no way to get to the funeral in my own car. John always drives to work, but for reasons I can only imagine were to get back at me, decided to take the metro, and took the baby carriage and bottles and my pump with him. My brother and I have our differences, granted. In fact, we haven't talked much since my mom and I were estranged. We started talking again after she was sick, but he'll forever be a saint to me for what he did. I called him crying, and he and my sister-in-law arrived within 20 minutes. Sister-in-law calmed me down and helped me get my daughter ready, and they brought along spare bottles, a carrier, and a breast pump. Thanks to them, I was able to go to my mom's funeral in comfort, and my daughter was an angel during the service. They calmed me down and everything went perfectly, and even though I was a mess for most of the day, having my daughter with me, my sister-in-law, and even my brother with me to lean on gave me peace on the inside. I've made up my mind not to tolerate John's insane and controlling behavior anymore. He had a litany of excuses for doing what he did. He even tried to claim his car had problems, and I don't want to hear any of them. I never wanted to be a single mom. I always wanted to raise my baby within a family, but I've decided that going alone is so much better than doing it with this man, who thought nothing of trying to kick me while I was down. My brothers arranged for me to talk to a friend of his that specializes in family law this week, and we're taking it from there. I still feel so guilty for what happened with my mom. I miss her so much. I hope from here on out I can make her proud of me, despite my mistakes. Extended update from OP's comments. I still have my personal account, so I called the bank and I'm setting up a meeting. I'm documenting that I've told John not to touch any of the money in the account until everything is worked out. I also confronted him about if his car had trouble, why would he take the bottles and pump with him? He got flustered and immediately tried to turn it back on me with, "Well, we agreed." He quickly forgot that I didn't agree to crap. Instead, he just tried to twist and deflect. He's so toxic. But even though he has some good points and I do love him, I can't forgive the way he went out of his way to spite me during this whole thing. That's not love at all. Sad face. I was so shocked when he said that my mom deserved her illness that I didn't know how to react. It literally didn't hit me until about the time I'd made up my mind to post here. He liked to act like my mom was abusive to him because of her religion, but his main grief with her was that she asked him to lead grace once, and he reacted badly. Final comment. For everyone that's worried, he didn't get his hand on my money. I went straight to the bank and got the amount of my last check out of the account. Whew. Well, bye-bye John, you asshat. Good for you, OP. This was the right choice for you and your daughter. So here's hoping for all the best in the future for the both of you. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user Looter714. Try to steal my apartment from under me? Lol. Okay, so back in the mid-90s, I was a single guy in my late 20s. I was a man-child, I admit. I was working but just enough to pay rent and go drinking every night. I have since gotten married, had kids, and got a house, yada yada. Anyway, there were these two ladies my age at the bar where I was a regular that just had their roommate move out abruptly. I was looking to move to something cheaper and this place was a unicorn. $350 a month for a 3-bedroom place, close to everything. It wasn't the greatest place, but far from horrible. That was $350 divided 3 ways, plus the heat and electricity were paid for by the doctor's office below us. I was paying that alone plus utilities, so hell yeah, I moved in. So day one and the ladies have me sign the lease. I knew it was kinda BS right away as they had a copy of the lease with the old roommate's name white out and had me sign. I was never to contact the landlord myself. Sus? Sure, whatever, here's $200 for the deposit and the first month's rent. The ladies were a bit quirky, they were lazy. Sure, they were fun and all, but they seemed to think that they owned me. They'd asked me where I have been, who I was dating, why I didn't get in until 6 a.m. I worked swing shift. Lots of little things like being on AOL Instant Messenger, no sales at that point, all night and day, tying up the phone lines, leaving garbage and other crap in the common areas, dirty dishes, etc. I actually didn't really care, except they would have the nerve to scold me for leaving out my shoes or coat or whatever in the midst of their mess. I made a point of never leaving my stuff out, but occasionally I would, and they would mention it. Plus, a cousin of the one roommate stayed there 2 to 5 times a week, which again was annoying, but whatever. Rent was cheap and I barely saw them. The best part is that they would leave these passive-aggressive notes like, "Hey, please don't leave your shoes out by the couch. I almost tripped on them this morning." There was clutter everywhere and they'd be complaining about my shoes. They'd have weeks worths of dishes everywhere and my shoes were the problem. Okay, whatever. I could write a book about the crazy, but let's move on. It got really bad when I met the person that became my wife. They were a bit jealous and tried regularly to break us up. She called me one morning. The ring woke me up. The ladies answered the phone saying that I never came home last night after meeting some girl at the bar. I called her later and she told me this, laughing the whole time. She knew it was BS since she dropped me off for the night shift the night before. There were a lot of similar stories like this, but on to the main story. The lease was up in a month and they decided to get another apartment and I would have to move out. I asked if I could take over the rent and they said that the landlord already leased it to someone else. Okay, sure. So I finally called the landlord myself. She tells me that she only knew I was living there because she got my check every month. I made them out to cash and the roommates were too lazy to cash the check beforehand. She said that no, she has not leased out the apartment and hadn't gotten any notice from the ladies that they were moving out yet. But the one cousin that stayed over often was wanting to sign. It was obvious to me that the landlord did not like these women and I asked if I could have it first. Furthermore, they were trying to steal the lease from under me and give it to the cousin. I asked and received a letter from her giving me first dibs on the apartment. A couple of days later, I come home from my shift and there is an opened mail on the table to me from the landlord with the first dibs letter sitting there. They opened my mail, along with a bitter 3-page note about how could I do this to them, why did I contact the landlord, I am a horrible person, etc. I laughed and read it to my then girlfriend and future wife. She laughed along with me. The next few weeks were cold, one-word answers to questions, no mention of the note or moving out. They did give notice and I promptly signed a real lease with only my name on it and paid 3 months upfront just because I could. A few weeks later, I came home to find 3 bags of garbage and 2 empty rooms. They were gone. I had a 3-bedroom apartment to myself for $350 a month. Oh, the after-hours parties we had. I lived there 2 more years, one as a married man with a kid on the way. We sadly had to get a better place and I had to give up my unicorn apartment, but I'll never forget screwing them over before they could do it to me. Ha, well done OP, you got the unicorn apartment and really got to enjoy it. Good job. Thanks for sharing OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.